Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Fresh Berry Fool. That's right, I'm going to show you one of my favorite all-time summer fresh fruit desserts. But before I do, I'm going to answer a couple very commonly asked questions about this. First, why is it called a fool? And second, is this so ridiculously simple and easy that even someone like me can make it? Well, let me answer both of those questions by just answering the second one. Yes, it really is that simple, as I'm just about to prove. So let's stop fooling around and start fooling around. And the first step is going to be to macerate our fruit. And to do that, what we'll do is add our fruit to a bowl. And today I'm going to be using 3 different kinds of berries. I have some raspberries, which I really think people should pronounce raspberries, as well as some beautiful sweet strawberries, which I've hulled and quartered. And then last but not least, I'm also going to add some blackberries, which as you can see, I like to break up first. Those are a lot bigger than the raspberries, and the centers are a little bit firm, so I do like to break them up a little bit. And then once we're all set with our fresh fruit, we can continue on with the rest of the ingredients, which we'll start with some fresh lemon in 2 forms. We'll do some freshly grated lemon zest, as well as a little bit of the juice. And as I may have mentioned about a dozen times before, the great thing about zest is you're getting that lemon flavor without the acidity. Okay, it's those essential oils in the skin that gives you that really strong lemon aroma and flavor. So we will add a good amount of lemon zest and a little bit of juice, but that's really more for acidity than it is for the flavor. And then at this point, we can go ahead and add a little bit of sugar. And I'm not actually trying to make a joke. Relative to what you see in a lot of these fresh fruit fool recipes, that is actually not a lot of sugar. And then we'll go ahead and grab a spoon and give this a mix. And as I just mentioned, this process is called maceration. And what you should know about that, above and beyond that you should pronounce it very slowly and carefully, maceration simply means tossing fruit in sugar to draw out those beautiful natural juices. And you'll see just after a few seconds that the juices are already starting to come out. And that fruit's already starting to break down a little bit and get nice and shiny. But don't get too excited. It's not even close to ready yet. What we're going to want to do after this is mix is wrap it up and pop it in the fridge for I'd say at least an hour, or until we think we have enough juices to make a proper fool. And if you want, some people like to do this right on the countertop at room temperature, which does help extract those juices a little quicker. But since it's summer and I want this dessert nice and cold, I really do prefer to wrap mine up and pop it in the fridge. And while we're waiting, we can go ahead and prep our cookies. And I'm not exactly sure this counts as prep, since basically we're just going to crumble up some cookies. And no, I'm not using vanilla wafers, which are the classic choice. I much prefer a buttery shortbread cookie. And in the blog post, I will explain why I choose this cookie. But to quickly summarize, I think it's superior to the vanilla wafer in every possible way. But anyway, while we're waiting for our fruit to juice, we could just hang loose, or you can prep your cookie crumbs as shown. And at this point, we will fast forward to about an hour later. And if everything's gone according to plan, your fruit should look something like this. All right, those berries should have noticeably slumped, and you should be looking at a decent amount of syrup-like juice at the bottom of the bowl. And then I should mention, if you want at this point, some people like to take a fork and kind of crush some of that fruit. But personally, I'm not a big fan of mashed fruit. So I like to keep my pieces of fruit pretty much intact, just swimming in those natural juices. And then what we'll do once our fruit is juicy and our cookies are crumbed, we can move on to the final component, the whipped cream, which is going to start with a cup of cold cream and a cold bowl, so feel free to pop that in the fridge before you start. And then besides our nice cold cream and bowl, I'm also going to add a little bit of creme fraiche. And while many recipes call for sour cream or yogurt, I much prefer the creme fraiche, as I usually do. And by the way, because I am using the creme fraiche, I can just add it at this point. If you are using sour cream or yogurt instead, you should probably fold that in at the end. But anyway, I'll remind you of that in the ingredient list. For now, let's continue on with a little bit of sugar, and then we'll finish up with a touch of real vanilla extract. And at that point, we'll go ahead and grab a whisk and whip this until it reaches the optimum texture. And by far, this is the most important step in the entire operation. Okay, if we underwhip this cream, it's going to sort of break down and we're going to have soup. But if we overwhip it and it gets too stiff, that butterfat's going to start to come out of the cream and it's going to have a greasy feel on your palate. In fact, legend has it that the actor Mr. T was once served this with overwhipped cream. And that's where he actually came up with his famous catchphrase, "I pity the fool." But anyway, the point is not to overwhip this. And what we're looking for is a mixture that has soft peaks but sharp lines. So we'll keep whisking, we'll keep observing, we'll keep whisking, we'll keep watching, until we get to this point right here. You see how those peaks are nice and soft and flopping over, but those lines formed in the surface are quite sharp and nicely defined. So that is, at least for a fool like this, perfectly whipped cream. And you will get a much better look at that in a few seconds as we move on to final production. So into some kind of appropriate cup or glass, we will start with some cookie crumbs. followed by a spoon of our macerated fruit, followed by our whipped cream mixture, and we'll simply continue on building those layers until we literally can't fit any more in this glass. And please note, we're not just spooning in fruit. Make sure you're getting some juice. All right, you should have plenty. Whoops, hold on. I almost forgot we need to add some crumbs here. We definitely want some crumbs in the middle. And I do like to do this individually in the cups or glasses if I'm only doing a few. If you're making this for a large group, generally the fruit mixture is folded into the cream and then just served from one bowl. But if I'm only going to do a couple, I think they're much nicer like this, as I really don't want these layers too integrated until I start eating it. But of course, that's up to you. You are the Peter O'Toole of making sure your food looks cool. Oh, and one other quick tip here. I really don't recommend building these on black placemats. Yes, I had to stop several times to vacuum those crumbs up, which I did by sucking them up through a straw, which I did not film, but I should have. So we'll go ahead and finish this up with some more cookie crumbs, and quite possibly a few strategically placed drips of sauce, as well as, I guess, more crumbs. For whatever reason, I really didn't want to finish this, but eventually I did. And that's it, our fresh berry fool is done. And definitely looking like something most people would want to eat. Considering the fact this took very little effort, and even less cooking skills, it really does look impressive. But wait, that's not all. It also tastes and feels very impressive. So let me go ahead and grab a spoon and dig in by taking a little taste of that perfect whipped cream first. And right here you can really see how those layers kind of merge together as you work this with the spoon. And that's exactly why I don't like to mix the cream and the fruit ahead of time when I serve this. Okay, I think by keeping those layers a little bit separate as you serve it, the experience of eating this is that much more enjoyable. I mean, the way our fruity, tart sweet juices kind of mingle with that rich whipped cream is just amazing. That is just an exceptionally enjoyable spoon of food. It's light, refreshing, just sweet enough, sort of rich and decadent, but not heavy. In fact, it's shockingly airy. But anyway, that's it. One of my all-time favorite desserts using fresh summer fruit. And usually in these videos I'm making a fool of myself. Well, this time I made a fool for myself, which I gotta say was a nice change of pace. So I really do hope you give this easy, beautiful, and delicious dessert a try soon. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.